And now I have a pleasure to give the floor to Meris Bećović, the member of the Secretariat Youth Council of the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, the country with maybe the worst of the stories in Western Balkans, having in mind the European perspective. So how you handle your reality?
So firstly, thank you for having us here. It's very dark. So it's dark, and I'll try to give the perspective of a youth council in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And it might not be so inspiring like the speeches before, but I will give my best to make it real. So the basis of our work is youth participation. And we often hear it, it's being used, it's a term that's used, and the other side of it is youth tokenism. So we have people using that word just for the sense of using it because it's important. And then you are there fighting for it, you want to have young people included, and then they include them, but they don't include them the right way. And that's also like one side of the story that's happening on all levels, and it's happening everywhere. And when you're working in that field, it becomes really frustrating. So, and that's only one part. So you have other sides of the job that are really frustrating when you go to some meeting and you get the meeting after maybe 6 months or 1 year, and then nothing happens. So sometimes the youth councils, not sometimes, they always have huge problems, but that's also, in some sense, there lies inspiration. I mean, when you see someone succeed, and in the same sector as you, it gives you hope. So for example, when we mentioned Komps or Anja, when I first entered the regional sphere, let's say, when you go to an event and you see her fighting so wholeheartedly for something, and you can't not be inspired. So you can't go home and not be inspired to do something in your country. So, and I think that's a huge value of events like this, because all of us here are people who believe in something and they want to change something. And in some sense, we all get sometimes frustrated, our batteries go down and so on, but we form a community and we give each other hope and strength. And that's how I see it, and that's how I perceive all the people here. The youth councils have a special role because youth policies isn't something that's really interesting. Not that many people want to do that. So, and it's a group of strange people. So basically, like a few weeks ago, you have 5 of us sitting on one desk. We are watching a law being voted on, and it passes. And then you have 5 young people celebrating because that law was passed on, because it wasn't there like in the last 10 years. And then you realize it's like not the common picture. So you have 10 young people celebrating some law. I mean, it isn't something usual. So I'm really happy personally to be part of this. And through the last years while I'm part of this, I've seen a lot of huge things. And I want this to be, in some sense, something inspiring for my colleagues, because I see a lot of my colleagues getting low on energy, they don't want to fight anymore and so on. And I just think that we need to look at each other. So there's a long way ahead of us. We heard about all the problems, and there are a lot of them, but we are all here working on it. So we really value our partnerships, the other youth councils, or other partners like RAICO, RCC, everyone. So we are a huge network, and I would like to have that part here, that positive note. So because nobody was really talking about it, and I think it's something very important. And on the other side, I also want to use the chance to talk about youth participation, just a little, 1 minute more, and I will end then. Youth participation for us isn't something that's meant to be there on its own. We look through youth participation and other problems. We use youth participation to look on youth unemployment, on mental health, on all the other topics. And that's why youth participation itself is so important. And if you have those mechanisms in place, then you can have not ministries who understand young people, but ministries or governments who have young people involved, and they can put their voices directly there on the table. And that's the difference. And if it's like that, then you have like some good examples, for example, like the youth guarantee and everything. I mean, this is also a good example here that we are in this place. Like North Macedonia was the first country that implemented a mechanism in 2018, I believe, for the youth guarantee. So there are good practices out there, good examples. We just need to follow through it and work maybe a few years more, but yeah, that's our perspective, and I would like to thank all of you for being here, for staying to the last sessions, and I hope that we will work together in the future, and on the next conference that we will have some more successes to talk about. Thank you.